Welcome, everyone. So, quick raise of hands. I know a lot of people are leaving right now. Great session just now, but quick raise of hands. How many people here know who Informatica is? Great. So, some of you do, some of you don't. Today, I'm really going to kind of introduce you, or maybe reintroduce those of you who do know who Informatica is, and talk about how we can help you digitally disrupt using Informatica's enterprise data management solutions through AI-driven cloud data management transformation. So there are 4 key drivers of transformation across businesses today. So whether it could be maybe there's a new tech stack, a new technology type of architecture, maybe there's new buyers within your organization. So a lot of different organizations are starting to see things like new stakeholders that want to reach and work with data that they hadn't in the past. And AWS has done a really good job of how they've brought this about. So a lot more self-service types of users. There's different ecosystems involved. So obviously AWS is a great ecosystem, but there's lots of other types of things like Salesforce and different types of applications that you're dealing with on a regular basis, as well as some on-premise data. And then also there's different ways of consuming it. You can do pay-as-you-go. You can do different subscription-based services. So it's really changed a lot within the last few years. And so there's challenges, but there's challenges to the organizations and how you deal with that. So looking at that, organizations like yourselves are seeing massive changes in the amount of data that's coming in. There's different types of users who need access to that data, like I mentioned just now. They need to be able to understand the relationship of that data, and they need to understand where that data comes from. But also, they want to be able to do that self-service type of analytics on that data. But also, you want to be able to have IT, as well as the different business users within the organization, be able to really understand and be able to work together closely, and with both data that comes from on-premise as well as in AWS. So looking at 58% of companies have a hybrid strategy today. Okay, and this may be you, maybe you're born in the cloud, but maybe you're not, but 58% of companies really do have that hybrid strategy of both on-premise and cloud. Well, while companies use about 16 SaaS apps on average in each day. So at Informatica, we really do want to accelerate your data-driven transformation. Okay, we want to be there to be your partner in that. And the way that we are is because, as a partner in your data-driven transformation, we really want to partner with you in that journey, but we can do that because we are the #1 leader in everything enterprise cloud data management. Okay, and what does that mean? So you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at what Gartner says, and they're, in the 5 magic quadrants for everything related to enterprise data management, we lead in every single one of these. And so everything from being able to integrate your data, doing cloud SaaS application data, be able to master your data through MDM tools, data quality, as well as metadata management. We lead in each one of these specific areas. And just looking at different SaaS services, we have one solution called Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, and this is a solution that runs completely on AWS. And we've moved over 2 trillion transactions a month, and actually over 4 trillion transactions into AWS for different enterprises and different companies out there across globally. So looking at that and kind of drawing this back, now I want to talk about how, from an AI perspective, we really do help you with where our platform really does. And so what we have is our entire stack, our entire enterprise stack, from our ETL data services to our API integration to our Hadoop Spark streaming to everything that allows you to be able to interact with AWS, all runs on a enterprise unified metadata intelligence layer. Okay, and we call this layer CLAIRE. Now, this is our machine learning algorithm. These are all machine learning algorithms underneath on our platform. And so what this does is it allows you to be able to interact with any data source, not just on AWS, but outside of AWS as well, and also be able to manage that data once it's on there. So what does that really kind of mean to you? So looking at that and how this makes sense to your company's business needs as it relates to AWS, I mentioned this earlier, but at Informatica, we're really about helping you with your journey to AWS. And we look at that in 4 types of journeys, okay? That's maybe you're building, maybe you're starting your journey from an on-premise infrastructure. Maybe you're already in a hybrid type of environment like I talked about earlier. And but you really want to be able to migrate your existing infrastructure, your existing data workloads, and you want to migrate those onto AWS. Maybe you're building more of a born-in-the-cloud AWS type of environment, and you want to bring data from multiple different sources like IoT, JSON, Avro, Parquet. You want to bring in different data sources and be able to analyze that in a data lake running on AWS, okay? And then, or maybe you want to be able to build a kind of a 360-degree view of your customer data. And lastly, as May 23rd approaches, maybe you're interested in GDPR, or maybe you're worried about GDPR and GDPR regulations, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about a data governance solution. So we can help you with all of these typical types of journeys into AWS. And to do that, you really do need the capabilities that Informatica has to offer, and that's a mix of really being able to integrate and to pull that data in from multiple different data sources, but then not only to integrate that data into AWS, but also to be able to then manage it once it's on AWS. So that means pulling data from different SaaS apps like I talked about earlier, like Salesforce, like Workday. That means pulling from on-premise applications like Oracle, SQL Server, et cetera, Teradata, okay? And really being able to manage that data once it's on AWS. And that's really what organizations kind of look to us at Informatica to be able to do, is to really help them with that, that management in that hybrid world. So in order to do that, in order to really be able to manage all that data, we have the largest set of connectivity to all the different types of apps and databases and data warehouses and distributions in the world. So whether you want to integrate SaaS apps like Workday and Concur or SaaS SAP to AWS, we have you covered. And of course, we support the key different AWS services. Everything from being able to load data into Redshift, S3, Kinesis, everything, we can do that. So let's talk about that, and let's walk through that journey of how we can help you as a company be able to really move your data into AWS and then manage it once it's on there in an AI-driven fashion. So looking at that particular use case of migration and moving it on to AWS, there's typical use cases that we see in a cloud journey. Everything from being able to modernize your data warehouse, migrate that onto Redshift, be able to do application integration or self-service types of analytics, or maybe you want to build that cloud data lake on AWS. And we'll talk about these in different types of use cases, but what we really see, though, is there are 4 common use cases. And AWS kind of sees this the same way, but really, if you look at it, there's being able to rehost, and that's really kind of one of the easiest ways to adopt cloud for large infrastructures. And that means taking your existing infrastructure and just bringing it up onto Amazon EC2. And that could even be, for those of you who know Informatica, some of our solutions. Then there's really the re-platform, and that's kind of a major trend of re-platforming existing applications, like moving Teradata to Amazon Redshift, be able to take data sources like Oracle and move that onto Aurora. And so, and then the next one's re-architecting. Maybe it's a greenfield type of operation. Maybe it's a new business within an existing overall enterprise, and you're trying to really be agile and be able to do analytics on Redshift or using EMR. And then the last one is rebuy, and that's where we really help customers as well, because there's new types of models around purchasing. As you know, there's everything from being able to use subscription-based pricing, and a lot of companies are really looking to offset that type of existing model of perpetual licenses. But before you can do that, you really have to figure out what to modernize first. Now, you heard about AWS Glue, and I'm sure all of you guys have heard about it. You saw a great presentation on it. Really that kind of is one of those things that really scratches the surface on the underlying issue on being able to understand where enterprise data comes from. You have to really understand what data you want to modernize first. So typical large enterprises or even smaller enterprises have thousands of database schemas, thousands of applications as well, millions of columns or rows, and really they need to be able to figure out what data you want to analyze or what data you really want to modernize first. And so be able to understand that really means that you need to be able to maximize your value with a data catalog, okay? And so to do that, having a data catalog really means being able to inventory all of your assets. Again, on-premise, in cloud, wherever that data is, you want to be able to manage it and understand understand the full relationship views of all your data, understand the lineage, the impact analysis of anything that changes, and really be able to allow different users in the organization, whether it be IT to business users to various different other types of users, you'll really be able to understand the full end-to-end lineage of that data. And you need to do this before you actually can move that. So that's where we have Enterprise Data Catalog. And so this is a solution we came up with about 1.5 years ago. And it really allows you to be able to, from a AI, it's an artificial intelligence-based discovery and visibility type of solution. And so allows you to be able to understand the metadata across all of your enterprise, again, cloud, on-premise, everywhere else, discover that data, and then be able to curate that data. And be able to also add some business context. So different users in the organization can actually add a business methodology to that data, and really be able to give more of a full conception to all of the data across the entire enterprise. And so, kind of looking at more of an architecture and driving down more into that AI-driven message, like I was talking about. So, Enterprise Data Catalog, or EDC as we call it, is driven by CLAIRE. This is a combination of metadata intelligence and AI machine learning algorithms. So when EDC ingests that metadata, it is automatically cataloged and classified, and the result is that the CLAIRE engine will have much more metadata and data to work with and to learn from. So this allows different data owners to really enhance cataloging by being able to curate and annotate those data assets and be able to really kind of associate that into a more of a business type of glossary, okay? And so at the application level, data consumers will be able to easily discover their data and understand the end-to-end data lineage, like I talked about, and really be able to explore the data relationships and understand the data structure and context through profiling. So that's how you start when you want to migrate and you want to really understand where your data is coming from. Then the next step is, what do you want to modernize and what do you want to do? Now, a lot of enterprise and a lot of customers will really go and look and say, okay, I want to move my data warehouse into the cloud. And the typical types of architectures around doing that really are migrate, and that's just full-on lift and shift, okay? Some other customers, and this could be, both moving your data warehouse up as well as moving your existing architecture like I talked about earlier. The next one is really being able to extend. Now, so this is really going back to that hybrid role type of message. So a lot of customers will look and they'll say, okay, well, you know what? I want to use my existing architecture on-premise, but I also want to extend that with a data warehouse in the cloud. I need to be more agile and to be able to do some more self-service analytics type of use cases, but I also want to be able to allow data access, different users to access that data and really be able to be much more aware of that. And so a lot of customers will kind of fall into that second category. The last one is being born in the cloud. Now, this could be a new business within a larger company, larger enterprise, or this could be a born in the cloud type of born on AWS type of business. So you might fall into this one as well. And so this is where companies are really, again, looking to be more agile, self-service, scalable, elastic. And this is where we do see a lot of customers doing as they modernize their data warehouse. So looking at that and how we do that, this is the typical architecture around data warehouse modernization. Now, the way we do this is we use the native, we have native connectivity into Redshift, and we process data in parallel, process it from the data source through ETL, load it up into S3, and then issue a copy command from S3 into Redshift. And so a lot of customers, though, when they're starting to go through this process, will generally go and move the data up into Redshift staging table, and then maybe do ELT push down after that. And so we afford that type of capability to our customers to be able to do that. And just kind of looking at that, what that looks like from more of a ingestion layer, you can see here, or a deeper dive here, what we do is we allow customers to be able to batch their data up and do it either by key range partitioning, based on the number of partition, and then using that, then we stage the data locally before we transfer it, and we compress it and also encrypt it. Encrypt that data, move it up into S3 in parallel or multi-port upload, and then we do we load that data up into S3, and then we issue a copy command into each particular Redshift slice. So, and all of this is through an optimized copy command, optimized native connector. So, you ask, okay, well, this seems like a lot of different moving parts. The thing is that that's all under the covers. We handle that all for you, and it's all based in when you build out any kind of ETL mapping. So that's one of the things we do. We help really customers do that data warehouse modernization. Another thing that we do is really help customers building out data lakes on AWS. Okay, so again, this is going with those specific journeys. You have that cloud hybrid journey where you're trying to move up into the cloud. But maybe once you're in the cloud and once you're on AWS, you really want to be able to understand that data and build a data lake on AWS. And so, you ask, okay, well, why would you want to move and build a data lake? And the previous session talked a little bit about that. And obviously, there's different drivers for why customers will want to use and build a data lake out. Whether it be immediate availability, there's capabilities for big data applications and workloads, as well as security. But really what it comes down to is, as you're trying to make that journey and kind of start that data lake process and build that data lake out on AWS, you really want a partner that's going to be able to help you do that. More so than outside of what you're going to get out of standard hand coding and different types of integration processes, as well as be able to do different types of integration different types of management and data management once the data is on AWS. So if you look at an architecture around building a data lake on AWS, this is actually an Amazon architecture. Okay, so there's everything from be able to, and this is where Amazon really says, okay, you know what, S3 is that centralized storage. So this is different than what a lot of data lakes have been on-premise, where they're more Hadoop distributions. So what you do is you look at it and you have different things from ingestion to processing and to cataloging and to be able to access your data as well as protect and secure it. And really, when you look at it, Informatica fits into all of these. We actually fit into be able to help secure the data as well. But overall, when you look at building a data lake on AWS, we have different solutions to help you be able to do this right away today. So we, from everything, and when you look at it, we have a full stack of solutions. So this is kind of like a high-level architecture describing the tools as well as the different solution capabilities needed for data lake management. So everything from being able to, if you want to ingest your data, and then you want to parse it and stream it, and you want to enrich it and prepare it, and everything from different types of users within the organization. So, for instance, if you're you may work in IT, but you want to be able to give access to different users in the organization to be able to manage that data and to prepare and be able to do self-service analytics. This might be a typical user like a BI user or someone like that. Well, you really want to be able to allow them the access to that data, and that's really what our tools allow you to be able to do on AWS. So everything from be able to move the data in, like I said, to ingest it to the standard ETL, but be able to process it and load that through EMR into S3, but also be able to kind of do the cataloging like I talked about earlier. But then, again, allowing different self-service business users within the organization the access to the data when it's on S3 so that they can analyze it and process it, and before moving it into a final, maybe Redshift data warehouse, or using different tools like Tableau or other types of BI tools to be able to analyze the final results of that data. So, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. There's different types of users in the organization who are really accessing data, and this is really allowing you to be able to do that. And just kind of looking at more of a deep dive reference architecture around that, you look at it, and this is, you can see, again, you see where using Informatica solutions, you can ingest the data, pull it in from outside data sources. And again, this could be cloud, this could be on-premise, this could be any different type of data source, and then be able to load that data into S3, into a landing zone. And this is what a lot of customers will end up doing. They'll generally move it into S3. Again, going back to what I was talking about just now, ingesting it, moving in there, and before processing it using Amazon EMR. And doing that. And so we have different tools like our big data management solution that allows you to be able to do that kind of curation. Then the next thing is you can load that data into an enterprise zone where, again, you can do more type of self-service, type of analytics on that user. And this is where different users in the organization might be looking at the data source, like I talked about earlier, using the different BI-led tools. Then the last thing is once you've loaded that into that discovery zone, then you can move it into that final delivery point. Again, and move it into Redshift, RDS, Aurora, whatever you need. So you can load it into various different types of applications and be able to really analyze it in a proper way. So this is kind of the end-to-end type of process. But going back to my earlier message about this being more AI-driven, this is everything under the covers, everything that runs on, that we run, all runs on AWS as a full solution stack. And this is really kind of the entire solution is there in order to be able to help you manage, move, and ingest your data, but also be able to really understand where your data comes from, where it moves to, and really be able to understand and help you in your full data management process. So just kind of ending up here, a couple things about how you can get started on AWS. First of all, if you, we have a full data lake solution, so that runs on Quick Start. So we just recently released this. We have various different Quick Starts out there. So everything from using our data catalog tool to being able to, be able to manage that through a full, everything that I just showed you in that reference architecture around data lake management. So you can do everything that I just talked about, and you can accelerate that and do that through a rapid deployment on a Quick Start. And you can deploy a full data lake management solution onto AWS and get you up and started in order to be able to analyze and process your data and do it all within a 45-minute time frame. And that's out there on the AWS Quick Start page. But in addition, we also have various different reference architectures out there and various different deep dive workbooks and as well as white papers on really being able to help you to understand how you make that full journey into the AWS, as well as how you help manage that data once it's on AWS. And lastly, we have various different marketplace offerings. So if you want to use our SaaS offerings for doing ETL, if you want to do integration tools, if you want to do use that enterprise data catalog, we also have that as well in a Quick Start, as well as that data lake management solution that I just talked about. And of course, if you want to see all these, you can go to informatica.com/AWS. So, just kind of in closing, Informatica really is kind of the global market leader, and as such, we have a presence in each country, and so we really do want to help you with this. So we invite you to go out to either this webpage, but also you can come by our booth and really be able to talk to different people there, and we really want to be able to have a conversation with you about your enterprise data management needs and how we can really help you do that and migrate all of your data and also be able to really take that journey into the cloud. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.